The Balei Musar have an incredible mashal for the time period that we find ourselves in. They tell of a king who, in order to best serve his constituency, so every year he would visit a number of families in order to best determine what was needed, in order to set his budget properly, in order to figure out what services needed to be provided. He was a gracious king. And in order so that people would know that he was coming, so he would send a messenger 30 days before his visit, in order so that they could properly prepare for their royal guest. One year, one of the families that was chosen was an absolutely poor, abject family. And when the husband received the message, the royal message, that the king was going to be coming to their home in only 30 days, so he looked around his home and he saw the paint chipping walls, he saw the wobbly chairs, the chipped table, the cracked windows, the ripped curtains. And he said, we can't host a king like this. And he said to his wife, that's it. We need to paint the house, buy new furniture. We can't host the king this way. And his wife, she chuckled and she looked at him. She said, I've been begging you for years to buy new furniture and to paint the house, but you always tell me that we don't have any money. And they went back and forth because the husband replied, that's true, but how can we host the king like this? It's not respectful. And the wife would respond and say, listen, the whole purpose of the king's visit is to see where the people are holding. So maybe he should see how we live. So the husband said, that's very good and fine if he just knocks on the door unannounced and he comes in, so then we can show him how we live. But he's giving us a 30-day warning. He knows that we know that he's coming. How could we not prepare properly? And this was the discussion that went on between them, back and forth. Finally, the husband said, you know what, you're right. There's no way that we can afford, even if we would go to neighbors and take loans and work, we can't repaint the house and buy new furniture and fix up the house completely. So you're right, we will have to do some cosmetic little tweaks. We'll move a bookcase in front of the broken window. We'll stitch up the curtains and bend them backwards so he can't see. We'll put a tablecloth over the table. Maybe I'll put some extra screws into the chairs so that they're not too wobbly. He said, but there is one thing I must insist on. I insist that we at least spend the money to buy one nice, brand new, beautiful chair so that the king has a place where he can sit and it's all being done with the honor that he deserves. That I must insist upon. And the nimshal of this very vivid mashal is that very soon HaKadosh Baruch Hu and us will be having a rendezvous. We will be at Rosh Hashanah. We will be Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be looking over our lives, looking over how we behave. And although we would love to fix everything, it is impossible. It's overwhelming. And just the thought of this daunting task is something that can discourage us from even attempting. And therefore, we might have to suffice with little changes, little cosmetic fixes. But it behooves all of us to find one area in our life, one place that we can really work on, where we can really invest our energy for the next 2 weeks, so that when Rosh Hashanah comes, we can say, I have a place that's fitting for the king. You know what? The windows might be broken, and the paint might be chipped, but at least there's one place where HaKadosh Baruch Hu can look and say, this is deserving of the presence of the king. We say, Yazov Rasha Darko. It's a focus on our overall perspective, our derech, our mahalech, not on specific sins. It's true, we need to do tshuva on all of the specific sins. But let's all find one area in our life where we can really invest, where we can make a real change, where it can be Yazov Rasha Darko. It's a systemic change. It's something that strikes at the core, not just a small cosmetic change. And if we do that, so then very soon we'll be standing before HaKadosh Baruch Hu on Rosh Hashanah, we'll be able to at least point to one midah, one area perhaps where we've struggled, and we can point and say, this is where I've changed. This is where I've become a better person. כשהיו
ששומעים את שם השם המפורש יוצא מפי. כהן גדול היו קוראים, משתחווים ונופלים על פניהם. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.